Hey everyone, we have a 60-minute game on the board against somebody rated 1062. So I've started with pawn to d4 and we have a Dutch on the board. Interesting stuff. So I'm going to play out my c pawn, get good control over these squares here. Okay, they brought out their knight. So we could have classical Dutch, we could have Leningrad Dutch, we could have Stonewall Dutch possibly. Is there anything wrong with knight c3? I can't see anything wrong with knight c3. I think this is quite normal. We're going to try and play this principled. Okay, so this is Leningrad style. Good to see. Now I can develop my bishop. They're going to play bishop g7 anyway. So what little I know about this, I know that it's Black's ambition to play pawn to e5. We would like to stop that. I think I'm going to bring up my king's knight now, which prevents the immediate e5. But having said that, so does the d4 pawn. I'm going to have to concentrate quite hard because very, very dopey today. I actually had a really, really good sleep last night. So no alcohol. I have my blue blocking glasses on. Kind of after sunset. In bed for 10. Had a really good sleep, slept all the way through. And yeah, I just feel like I've been hit by a train this morning. Okay, I'm starting to think about this bishop. So I'm thinking to fianchetto. I know is one of the ideas against the Dutch. So bishop here, short castle. And probably try and break through on the e-file, I think is maybe a good idea. This pawn is defended twice. This pawn is currently undefended, this guy here. I don't think b3 is a good move, although it's very tempting. Okay, well let's carry on with our plan, fianchetto. Black is castled. This doesn't look like the most solid setup here. Okay, so we're planning e5. Well, if e5 I can take. If they recapture, we could trade queens, but then their queen's defended by a rook. So let's castle. Okay, so this is now, it said Leningrad Dutch main line. And I'm surprised to see an opponent at 1062 be this deep into theory, but it's all looking very good from Black's point of view so far. Now this guy, he wants to get off the mark. This is a typical. But what about f4? Again, now you see, if he pushes e5, then I can take twice. He can recapture once, twice, knight and pawn. I think the idea is to meet e5. No, we want to get e4 in, don't we? That's kind of the idea. I think we want to get e4 in. Black wants to get e5 in. So e4 now is supported twice and attacked twice, but to capture with these two pieces would leave a lot of air on the king side. I do have bishop f4 to add even more support to that. Would he? Another idea is knight here or knight here, both of which peel back on there. Okay, and queen e8. This is also another very typical move. My opponent seems to know what he's doing with this opening. Now, can I get this in now? Pawn takes, knight takes, rook takes. How do we get more support on here? If I take out this knight, it's going to replace it with the other one, with a spare knight. Queen d3 is a thought. Gets the queen off the back rank. Also, Queen c2, I think. Queen c2 is quite often played as well. Maybe that's more flexible, I don't know. We'll see. I know I've seen this move played against the Dutch many times, so that's all I'm going off. So I've got an over-the-board game tonight. I wonder if I'm going to face a Dutch then. That would be interesting. Well, I'm not going to face a Dutch, am I? Because I'm an E4 player. I only played this because... Okay. Shit just got real. Okay, well I can take once. And after recaptures, I guess I can actually get e4 in. And this is undefended. Is he deciding whether to take back with the knight or the pawn? Just looking at the move times on this. 4, 2, 3, 11, 26, 4, 20, 36, 18. Quite a range there. Okay, so it's taken back with a pawn. This leaves a very tempting diagonal there. But my bishop is currently employed on the other side of the board. Now, do we play e4? I think we do. E4, if they take, well, that's really opening things up, isn't it? But I don't think I can allow them to play e4. Okay. This is then also a move. Trading knights allows me to improve my c-pawn. Very much. If they push... I can take twice, actually. I'm sitting in my stuff. Oh, yeah. So this is good practice for playing over the board later on today. Opponent is Gabe the Rook from Australia. I bet this is a position that's been reached many times. I mean, this is an idea, even here or here, targeting c7 with a very interesting fork on rook and queen. So if I come in here, they can't push. They have to maybe defend the pawn, I don't know, but the bishop can't defend it. But it'd have to be the queen going back to d8, that would be a big concession. So I think they'd end up taking. Pawn takes then. Or even takes, e takes, is that just ridiculous? Maybe ridiculous. Well, they're taking their time over this move, and I can understand why. I guess it's a good idea to play openings that you don't really know. I mean, not if the chips are really down, if it really matters. Okay, we have activity, guys. What this is a third attacker on e4. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now, how many defenders? 1, 2, 3. But first attacker is a pawn. I capture. Then knight takes. Not good. Now I have a bishop. So let's say my knight goes to there, then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders. So knight to here, or I can just eliminate the whole problem by capturing there, but then I think their bishop's going to come out, and I do not like that one little bit. Because their knight here is covering these 2 squares. If they have a bishop on here, my queen is hit. Not good. So I'm actually leaning now towards moving the knight. Knight could go here, but then could be kicked away. So knight back to here has been played. Does make life hard for my bishop. But this really is the action area. Their queen just takes. So I've got 1, 2, 3 defenders now. He's got 3 attackers, but the problem is the piece value. So here, and I get kicked. But then my bishop's still... But I guess I could come back here. And the bishop is still another defender, right? And that would be some kind of concession. However, it can sometimes be an idea for black. I mean, very often it's actually a kingside attack for black in the Dutch. The problem with this one is that it blocks off my bishop. But then I might have ideas of that. Okay, I'm going to play this move. So he took 2 minutes 20 over that, and I took 2 minutes 16. One issue, though, when you're playing mismatched rated games, I do stand to lose 15 points if I lose this game. So this point differential is actually, it's based on me playing at my level. So I shouldn't really be going outside of my normal repertoire just because my opponent is nearly 600 points lower rated. But he's not playing 600 points lower rated. Is b4 even an idea? I can't go there. If knight takes, pawn takes, takes. I'd like to open up this bishop as well. I mean, my fianchetto bishop is good. Black would also love to get in the light squared bishop fianchetto in the Dutch if they can, but white very often beats them to it. The light squares are kind of appealing. Here, knight moves away. Queen b3, push with check. Build a dark squared pawn chain. You never know. So right now his light squared bishop is a bit of a hindrance. So capturing here would really, really improve that. So in positional terms, that would be a really, really bad capture. And I'm capturing away from the centre. And I'm opening up the f-file for his rook. So everything is wrong with that move. Now if they take, they're going to end up with knight qp, isolated queen's pawn. And who controls the square in front of it? I have 5 snipers looking at that square, the e4 square. 5. Bishop also might have to babysit that pawn on b7 too. The other issue is, of course, with this, that I'm playing a d4 and a Dutch, and when am I going to use what I learned from this? I'm not. You attack the knight with my knight. If takes, A takes. Not bad at all. Or even queen takes with the idea of a discovered check as well. It's nice to play against the Leningrad though. Because actually, if I play the Leningrad against d4, then maybe there is an argument that I can take something away from this game. So if pawn takes, I think it's knight d takes e4. Because this knight is slightly better, it's got more control of the centre, it can jump into the centre. So if pawn takes, knight takes, and if knight takes, maybe knight takes again. I want to keep my bishop on the board. My bishop's got threats. And it's an important position there, plugging up these light squared holes around my king. So if takes, 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 I've even got queen takes actually. Spoilt for choice. Like I said, it's all about these squares, it seems, in the Dutch. Simon Williams plays a lot of Dutch, but he plays the classical with these two moves, rather than the Leningrad is this one. Keeping the pawn here. So in some ways you can consider like the Leningrad Dutch a bit like a King's Indian defence, because you've got the fianchettoed bishop, you've got this, but instead of the pawn here on f7, the pawn, you move it straight to f5, because sometimes in the King's India, when this pawn is back here, right, you end up moving the knight away so that you can play f5 later in the game, and then sometimes even replace the knight behind the pawn on f6. The Leningrad is like an accelerated version of that, where you push f5 straight away, literally on move 1, and then put the knight straight behind the pawn. Okay, now we have this. And now I'm in two minds. Because obviously the very tempting thing is to take here with the discovery on the rook, and I guess bishop can play there, then I take and that this knight becomes a lot worse. However, I do this, they capture with the bishop. My queen can't retreat, can't go here or here or here. So my queen is forced to d1. Now, is that a really bad idea? I think it probably is. So I think I'm still better off allowing black to take, or daring black to take here. So I'm thinking about moves like maybe b4. b4 could force the issue. Knight takes, pawn takes. Otherwise, the knight has to retreat, and that takes away any point of pushing b6. Knight back to here. Just a retreat, I think. I've even got this idea, though. Remember we mentioned this earlier on. So knight here, then he puts his bishop there, so it's just poor because you're going to lose material. There. Threatening to take this knight as well. I kind of like that. Is there something wrong with that? Have I missed something? Nope, doing it. So he took 5 minutes 20 over that move. Deep in the guts of the game now. This is really the action area. So if knight takes, I have CD, and then I'm the one with the preferable centre, because right now there's no d-pawn of either colour, but I would get a d-pawn. Also helps constrain this bishop's plans, doesn't it? He has 1, 2, 3 attackers on here. I still have 4 defenders. And that is pretty good. So this is his problem. The threat of knight takes c7 with a fork. So what can he do? Well, he can play the queen to 3 different squares to defend that c7. He can't do anything with the bishop. He can't do anything with this knight. Well, the knight would have to come there or here, And obviously that would just be a capture, and I play c takes d. So I've served him a problem. If I was black, what would I do here? Takes. I mean, is e takes d5 even a thought here? Because then I get to build quite a robust light square pawn chain, and this pawn then becomes pinned on the queen. Knight takes here and cd. This is kind of backwards, but even so, I don't know. Gets rid of any ideas of f takes e4. If I take with the e pawn, then maybe f4. And he can't really push out because, like we say, everything's looking at e4. Feels like I'm playing a positional game. Not really used to this. Okay. And there was a third possibility. A rook lifter. Now I can take out his knight. Bishop takes. I'm not doing this. I'm not inviting that light square bishop out in the board. No. No, 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 no. Now then, this. He's got 3 attackers on e4. I still have 4 defenders. EF. This is the problem. I mean, then I take there with check. Bishop takes, but then my queen's still on prise, so I don't want to. I take the knight and bishop takes. That looks okay. But isn't my knight just better? Okay, what about this? Is he going to trade off? Let's think about this. I think if the knight retreats, it's worse for my opponent. In fact, he can't go here, because that blocks the rook's defense of c7, right? So he'd have to go back then. That's terrible. So b4, I don't think he can retreat. I think takes, knight takes, pawn takes. He takes a pawn, I take his knight. He takes me back. I really have to recapture the pawn, and I don't really want to with my bishop. Do something waiting like h4. h4, h5. If he takes here, you see, I can just capture that pawn. I'm going to push h4. I like it. Again, another 2.5 minutes. We really are at the thinking stage of the game. It's got a nice hole there. h5 and takes. Then I don't have to worry about this move. I can capture. Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts now, aren't there? Have a bit of my malic acid. Super tart. So I've now spent 11 minutes on this game, which is longer than I usually spend, longer than I'm accustomed to spending at the moment. One, two, 3 attackers. 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders. Is f3 a really stupid idea? Idea of supporting my pawn with another pawn. It blocks my bishop. There, they take me. I take here. Their king is wide open. Here they push. I can still take on there. H5. He's got knight takes. I can take out the knight first, then do this. If they take, I take. This pawn is then isolated and pinned. It's got a classical feel to it. Not bad practice though. Maybe Rook has to defend that. Takes. I'm threatening the Rook immediately. Or not. This does remove one of the attackers on that pawn. Right, Rook or Bishop could take because the knight's gone, so it's no longer threatening c7. But it is good practice to knuckle down to a game, a longer game, and to force myself to think through more lines, at least to the best of my ability right now. Simply don't know what he's going to do. I'll tell you what, he's playing better than 1062, isn't he? Okay, he's pulled the trigger. Right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to defend. Now, I can eliminate one of those attackers and then take with my knight, which looks like it makes sense. He's got doubled pawns here and isolated. So now we think. If knight takes here, takes, then my pawn is isolated. So that's one argument in favour of initiating the knight trade. Here, then I win the pawn back. Because if I take now, queen takes, say, it's not bad. This knight can be kicked at any time. H5, knight just takes him. Okay, I'm going to take the knight. 1 minute 10. He took 3:59 over that move. Okay, rook takes. Right, now the rook doesn't need to defend that anymore because the knight has gone. However, we are left with this. Now, if knight takes here, it's a fork. If I take the rook, it's bad. If I take the knight, it's bad because he doubles his pawn. So knight here he's going to capture. But then I take with the bishop, right? And he's going to have to push this pawn, so... Suddenly, everything kind of breaks down. Or is it queen? It's not rook. I'm not going to take the rook. He has two attackers on here. So I absolutely... My only defenders are queen and king. That ain't going to happen. So I'm going to take the knight, and I'm going to take it with... See, queen takes. I've also got two attackers on there, and I'm threatening the rook. Yeah? Bishop can't block that, so queen takes, and I defend this pawn still. Material is equal. It just feels like there's been a flurry of bloodshed. And the game has suddenly opened up quite a lot. Okay. Didn't see that one. That's a decent move. Okay, I have a check here. But I also can win a pawn. But then rook blocks. I can come here then. Do I just win the pawn? I think I just win the pawn. The rook can't do anything, can't give check. And I also threaten this pawn. Okay, so I take pawn, I'm a pawn up. This pawn is currently defended. Okay, there. Queen takes, rook takes. Wow. Oh, the rook's hanging. So I probably want to play a move like this and connect my rooks. Principled. That is not playable. Damn it, Janet. Fortunately, I can pin the rook. This. Or even this. Oh no, it's a double attack on the queen. He can simply take me with a bishop. I think that has to be played. And I'm threatening to take the rook. Shoosh. Wow. This is now illegal. Because if you're putting himself in check, he can't do that. Oh, I didn't see that at all. I can dodge out the way with the rook. This pawn would hang if I move the bishop. This is the problem. Rook to there, I don't know about that. I'm threatening to take. Whoa. Wow. Wowzers. Wowzers. I take rook, you simply take queen, I take rook, but then you take rook. I take rook check, bishop takes queen. I want to defend this rook and I can't. I take rook, you take queen, I take rook. I've got to do that, haven't I? But then bishop takes rook, I take bishop. I'm just losing. Hell's teeth. Yep. Okay, bishop take... You didn't take the queen. Why didn't you take the queen? Is now only one material in front. One pawn up, that's it. 19 seconds to decide not to take my queen. Oh. Because of that. Well, I'm counting my lucky stars. Bloody hellfire. This defends the pawn a second time. Queen might take, pawn takes. Okay, I'm a pawn up. How I survived that, I don't know. I thought he had me. I thought it was over a barrel there, man. Okay, question is where to put the queenie. Here I'm attacking two undefended pawns. This pawn hangs. So do I defend this pawn? Do I come here? Bishop takes, I take bishop. Here, queen takes, I take. Okay, so the threat is this. Now this pawn is kind of okay for now, but I really do also have to worry about the back rank. Wherever I move my queen, could get there, there. That's not too bad. or there, I could lose a pawn. So maybe I need to defend this pawn, which means this. I'd also like to defend that pawn, which means putting my queen on here or here, but I mean that does. Nope. This, and I threaten to trade off queens. This, and I threaten to trade off queens. I defend the pawn there. Queen comes here. King h2. You can take the pawn. Then I get that. Okay. So this is a rapid game. There is no way my opponent is playing like a 1000. You can't take there. What? Oh, in fact, the queen can't dodge down because the bishop's still in the way. So I'm kind of lucky. Again, I'm lucky. Even have this idea, pinning the bishop, kind of forcing a trade. I have this, opening up my rook, which I should have thought about. See, really regretting now. See the point of developing your pieces? I trapped this bishop on the back rank. It still hasn't moved. This rook hasn't moved. That means my rook is not protecting the back rank, which is one of its main jobs. Wow. So this would be nice. I'd like to get that move in. Okay, we have trader queens. You win the pawn back. Okay. I could have gone here, actually. Why didn't I go there? That was a snap. Okay, he's kind of... Oh, man! What are you doing? Okay, if I take the bishop... I take bishop, I lose the rook. It's going to have to be done, I think. I don't see any other way around it. Now, the big differences are, I have a dark squared bishop, opponent does not. Okay, now, this pawn is under attack. So I can move it to a3. If he then comes here, I can't defend that pawn. I'm really, really in trouble. Also, this pawn hangs. Something like this might work. I do that and he does say this. I can defend this pawn. If he plays rook b1, I can't. Rook b1, I don't have this. But then I can push. Maybe get my bishop in, I don't know. But I am just being undone. Okay, you've taken the free pawn. Am I down? I'm down a full exchange. This, I'm attacking a pawn that I don't think can be defended. I'm also threatening to come here, and maybe there. All my pawns are on dark squares, which means this bishop can do nothing about them. They're also not hampering the progress of the bishop in any way. But maybe I just played that really badly, I don't know. Here my bishop is defending all of the pawns. I'm not accusing my opponent of cheating, by the way. You know, because he's got moves where he's taken a minute, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. He's just playing really well. Okay, so it's sacking this, so I can defend with this. And that rook has now really hampered himself, hasn't he? It's time to try and bring the king across somehow. Also, I do have the bishop pair, so it's a tiny bit of compensation. Pawns are equal. This is not a lost position. It's probably like -5, something like that. But maybe not even. Sure, Stockfish would do very well from this position. We have to engage the kings. Now, my opponent should probably come up this diagonal because I can't stop him. Def takes and takes, something like that. I think King G2 is probably going to be my instinctive move. Bishop can't give a check. But we all do, from time to time, play 700 or 800 points higher than our rating and 700 or 800 points lower. I have had games where it said I played 500 with the new Guess the ELO beta feature. But I would be fascinated to see what the Guess the ELO is at the end of this. Something like this here, push. So my dark square bishop defends the a3 pawn. It weakens this though. Let's check out Gabe's recent results. All rapid. His last game was 63 accuracy. Then he's got an 82, a 64, a 69, a 94, but that's only 9 moves, a 6, another 60, 80, 60, 80. He lost to a 1300. He drew with a 470 in blitz. That's telling me nothing. If I was Stockfish, what would I do? See, what he needs to do is to use this pawn majority, I think, on the queen side, and just push up and try and blast these pawns out the way. Just convert one of these pawns. That's all he has to do. Try and trade off the light squared bishops, even trade off the rook for the other bishop. But then at the same time, I've got a pawn majority on the king side, so I'd be trying to do the same thing. Okay, if I take a pawn, he takes a pawn, he defends that. If I push, my bishop defends this pawn. Okay, I'm just going to play King G2. Just instinctive. Nearly 4 minutes over that move. You can't be taking 4 minutes over every move because there's no increment here. This is a 60-minute game, fixed limit. He's got 35 minutes left. My bishop is now preventing the advance of all of these, apart from arguably this one. So he might push this. But then if he pushes it too far, I'll just snatch it off. But that flurry of trades in the middle of the game was just bonkers. My hunch is that you kind of had to be like an expert player to decipher all of that. His king needs to be careful about treading on dark squares in particular. So if I was to take here, he then gets to take that. Should I just push this? I just hold my ground there, I think. So my idea is to wriggle my king over to the defense of this pawn. If this one advances, I take. He might take. He comes here. My king's on there, and we're fine. In fact, I mean, there may even be an opportunity to trap the rook in. Get my bishop on this diagonal. Then it means his bishop must defend the rook and has to stay on this diagonal. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but this was an odd place to put your rook. He wasn't guaranteed to win a pawn. I'm determined to see it through, because apart from anything else, I want to see the eval. This bishop has to defend this pawn now as well. I already said my bishop here. Okay, I think I just take. I think I do. Okay, now his rook is released. His pawn could end up here. Okay, I'm going to bring my king across. I think I have to. Here. If he pushes this pawn, that's actually better for me, because it means I can lodge my king in. Okay, if I take and he takes. He's going to struggle to force that pawn through because this bishop can't do anything about it. So he has to attack it twice. As long as my bishop defends it, he has to attack it twice. And actually, all he's got is king and rook. And that just doesn't work. Okay, I'm not worried about the king approaching. So I'm going to carry on with the plan. And if I put my king here, he can't do that because I take him. He can't do that because I take him. Oops. So king here, but his rook can now just get out. That's the issue. Okay, well, this isn't too much of a problem. I can just centralize my bishop. And now notice, like pawns, the bishops are guarding not just in front, but in the back as well. They've got this big sandwich of force field. So the king now really would struggle to get through there. Or Skulker there. Or there. Or there, or there. Or there. Okay. Don't see anything wrong with this. And now also creating a different kind of force field pattern, which is also very attractive. Okay, I have to defend this pawn, so I'm going to come up here. Also prevents this pawn from moving forward one. There, and I can't take. He's attacking it a second time with his pawns. There, okay, there I come here. If he takes the pawn, bishop takes. Not the end of the world. Or I just take his rook. Okay. If I do this and he pushes, with that, or do I just run away? I don't think I'll run away. I think I'll go on the dark square. This attacks the rook with the discovery. Threaten to take here. What about this? I can. That's feels like a move I can just throw in. It's one of those moves you play in blitz when your opponent's got 15 seconds left. Okay. King has to defend this. Bishop's defending this. No one's defending this. Come back and defend the pawn. And there we have it again. And I'm dead. I'm dead in the water. Dead in the water. That, well, let's say it was remarkable. My opponent rated 1062. Played with accuracy of 81 and played like a 1600. Well, well, they made one blunder. So at this point in the game, that was a blunder. Because the rook hung. Jesus wept. Oh, man. Oh, Lord. Okay. +7. And then that was good, but that was a blunder. Why? Because okay, so that was the move. And we're equal. Well, 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 but my opponent did play just out of his skin. Let's leave it at that. Well, 75 accuracy over a long game is not bad. I made 12 best moves, so did he. Let's go back to the start and just check how long we were in book, right? Book. Best. Book. All book moves here, apart from this one. Maybe it's saying knight c3, knight c6 is best. Okay. But there we go, you know, 8 moves and very good. But point is, it's all a learning experience. Do you get players that cheat? Yes, you do. And if you pick up open challenges against lower rated players, it's far more likely that they will. I am not suggesting that my opponent cheated here at all, because, like I said, he hung a rook there. I just missed it. You were probably all shouting at the screen, but there you go. That's what you get for playing when you're dopey. But yeah, all good. Yeah, definitely an enjoyable chess game. And a good warm-up for tonight. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. Thanks for watching. See you later.